On the Waqf Amendment Bill, which will be likely brought in the budget session of Parliament. The Joint Parliamentary Committee, which is deliberating that bill, today cleared 14 changes or amendments that were proposed by NDA members. So the JPC has now formally given the go-ahead for this bill to be introduced in the upcoming budget session of Parliament. The JPC chairperson, Mr. Jagadambika Pal of the BJP, has said that these amendments would result in a better bill, and the objective of the government is to give benefits to the poor and particularly for Pasmanda Muslims. This bill has been in the works for the last few years, with the government having met various stakeholders, including members of the community, eminent jurists and lawyers. The new act provides that the Waqf board no longer will be the sole authority to decide if a property is indeed Waqf property or not. Several proposals in the new bill have caused unease within the community and within the opposition ranks. So let's bring you up to speed with what has been cleared clause by clause today. The meeting was a discussion to clear clause by clause the amendments that have been sought by different members. All the amendments introduced by the opposition, there were 44 of them. They were read out by the JPC chairman. The NDA had 23 amendments which they had moved, while 16 members voted against the changes proposed by opposition MPs and only 10 in favor of them. So basically, net, what that meant is it resulted in 14 of these amendments being adopted by the Joint Parliamentary Committee before it gave its stamp of approval for the bill to be moved in the House.
44 संशोधन को जेपीसी को सुपुर्द कर दिया गया था। जेपीसी की आज उस 44 संशोधन पे जो है उस पे एक संशोधन पे चर्चा हुई। इसके पहले हमने 6 महीने के सारे डिटेल डिस्कशंस के बाद सभी सदस्यों से हमने संशोधन मांगे थे। यह हमारी अंतिम बैठक थी कि उस 44 संशोधन पे आप इस पे सहमत हैं या इस पे असहमत हैं। तो सभी सदस्यों के द्वारा चाहे किसी पक्ष के हों, उन लोगों ने अपने संशोधन दिए थे और आज उसमें जो हमारे कुछ सांसदों के द्वारा दिए गए थे उसमें 14 क्लाजेज पे या 14 संशोधनों में संशोधन स्वीकार हुआ है। वो भी संशोधन मूव करने पे वोटिंग के बाद बहुमत किया था। विपक्ष ने भी एक संशोधन दिया था और विपक्ष ने सभी 44 संशोधन दिया था। हमने एक संशोधन मूव कराया और उस संशोधनों को हमने पुट टू वोट किया, लेकिन वोटिंग में उनके पक्ष में 10 वोट था और उसके निगेटिव में 16 वोट थे। इसलिए जो विपक्ष के द्वारा या उन लोगों के द्वारा जो 44 संशोधन के विरोध में थे, मैं विपक्ष क्यों कहूँ, जो 44 संशोधन के विरोध में उन्होंने कुछ दिए थे वो मतलब टर्न डाउन हो गया।
Ma'am, what happened in the meeting? How many clauses were adopted? How many were rejected?
Joint Parliamentary Committee meeting on the Waqf Amendment Bill 2024 was held today in a very democratic manner. And as you know, about 44 amendments have been floated by the government to the Principal Act 1995. And as far as the amendments proposed by the opposition MPs are concerned, I must say that they had proposed 43 amendments to the 44 amendments floated by the government. And obviously they were not upheld, they crashed because they had 10 votes and we in the NDA had 16 votes. And as far as NDA members are concerned, let me tell you, we in total floated about 24 proposals to the 44 amendments. And all the 24 proposals were upheld. So it was a question of 10 and 16. There were about 31 members, as you know, and only 26 were present. So 10 from their side and 16 from our side. So it was held in a very democratic manner, and the chairman tried to listen to everybody, give everybody ample chance to present their proposals.
So opposition MPs have decried the proceedings. They've accused the JPC chairman of subverting the democratic process. Some of the objections raised by the opposition include these: the clause to amend the short title of the act from Waqf Act 1995 to Unified Waqf Management, Empowerment, Efficiency and Development Act 1995, or UMEED. The leaders have questioned the government's intent to rename the bill. The question that's been asked by opposition members is, will you allow Muslims to become members of Hindu endowment boards? So if that is not allowed, then how can you allow non-Muslims to be sitting on a Waqf board? opposing separate Waqf boards for Bohra Muslims, for Aga Khanis, for Shias. This was also listed by some of the opposition members in the amendments that they moved, but of course those amendments got rejected. As per the draft bill brought in by the centre, a collector would be the person who would be able to decide whether a said property belongs to the Waqf or not. That again did not go down well with the opposition MPs. They also objected to the provision that confers powers upon the collector to make the survey in accordance with the procedure in revenue laws. Their contention is it's the surveyor who should be doing that, not the collector.
Whatever that they have fixed, they have done it. They didn't allow us to speak anything. No rules, no procedure has been followed. We have not allowed to speak at all in the amendment motion.
He himself moved.
He himself moved, counted,
Declared.
Soladas. All amendments have been passed.
I think that they decided everything. They are bulldozing. I think that by this time the report is ready. The report is ready. We are fighting here not for JPC, not for Parliament. We are fighting here. All these documents should be brought to the Supreme Court, where we have to struck down this act.
So you will go to the court against
Definitely.
अब ये वोटिंग करने के बाद 44 के 44 आधा घंटे के अंदर खत्म, लेकिन चर्चा कब करोगे भैया? तो ये क्या है? ये गणतंत्र है। अमृत महोत्सव में गणतंत्र की हत्या हो रही है।
So here are some startling facts about the land bank that the Waqf Board controls. The Waqf Board has land assets to the tune of 1.2 lakh crore rupees. The area spans something like 9.4 lakh acres with over 3 lakh estates around the country. The Waqf Board has in its possession or over its supervision about 8 lakh immovable properties and 16,000 movable properties. The Waqf Board is the third largest landowner in the country after the Indian Railways and after the Armed Forces of India. India's defense forces own a little less than 18 lakh acres of land, while the Railways owns about 12 lakh acres of land. Waqf boards cumulatively across the country own a little over 9 lakh acres of land. Remember, the first two are government departments belonging to the sovereign of India, whereas the Waqf boards are private boards that are put in place by private individuals overseeing what is the third largest land bank in the country. So on the Waqf bill, the JPC has met today. They have made certain amendments. About a dozen plus amendments have been adopted by the JPC. They have now forwarded this to the Speaker's office, and it's up to the Speaker to decide when to bring this in Parliament, whether it should be introduced in the upcoming budget session or not. Meenakshi Lekhi is still with us. So I was just going through some stats on the land bank that the various Waqf boards across the country have. The Waqf boards are the third largest holder of land in India after the Indian Railways and the Indian Defence Forces. Approximately 9 lakh acres of land are in the various Waqf boards across the country, the value of which is about 1.2 lakh crore rupees. What would be your argument as to why a religious body or a group of religious bodies should be controlling such valuable assets in the first place?
You know, if we go into the history of it, the history itself is little unjust. And let me bring forward that religion which came from outside and which was imposed on the natives of this country, their lands are taken away in a non-transparent manner. Now, even if, say, for example, if we look at our political existence as an independent country from 1947. So 1947, X amount of land vested with Waqf Board. And how many times more can it increase post-independence? That will be a very relevant question, especially when two Islamic nations were carved out of this country, one Pakistan and one Bangladesh. Now, with people, the whole land mass has already been given to them. And yet, from that very community, equal to that landmass which has been given away or more is possessed by them in this country, which is so-called a secular country. In a secular country, a religious body having that kind of might and strength itself is a question from socio-economic perspective, and the manner in which those lands have been taken away, usurped, I can use the word. The second aspect is that pre-independence period in 19th century, there was a case which was before the Privy Council, because these were the people who were the new landlords of the country, in the sense that Islamic invasions happened before the British imperialism, and when British took over, the matter went to Privy Council under the British imperialistic practices. And that time, those imperialistic rules and regulations actually made a case for denouncing the Waqf board and dissolving it. And post that period, interesting enough, 1913 dealing with the country differently and dealing with the polity, divide and rule policy, so on and so forth. 1930, there was an enactment which was brought forward by saying that validation of Muslim Waqf Validation Act was brought into this country in 1913.
Yeah.
And then nobody dare touch it post 1947. In spite of creating two independent Islamic nations out of this country. That itself leaves us with the question that was there a need for such a body? Number two, 1995. So this act has seen various amendments, and the latest amendments are not new. Various other times in point amendments have happened. So 1995 amendment, just to sort of shorten my argument. The amendment was that there will be a tribunal. The tribunal's order cannot be challenged before any court of law, and this has the jurisdiction that of a civil court. Now, even in a civil court, the matter can be challenged before other jurisdictions, right? There is a format of appeal and second appeal, etc. In this case, you can't challenge the order of a tribunal. Howsoever illegal that arrangement is, howsoever illegal that order is, it is non-challengeable. Is this not unconstitutional? But nobody passed an order, nobody took it to the court. So those are other aspects. Now, nothing can be made outside the common law which prevails in this country. That is the method in which civil courts are there, high courts are there, Supreme Court is there. Everything can be judged from that perspective. Now, there is an entity whose order cannot be challenged before any court of law. Is this just? Number one. So the latest amendments, whichever, I've not gone into the detail, but latest amendments which have been proposed to make the functioning of Waqf board itself more transparent, to make it more efficient and make it more legit, because this particular act, for example, is illegit, that you can't challenge it before any court of law. And the method of making a tribunal itself is illegit. So any property can be declared as Waqf property and you can't challenge that. That's how the land bank has increased.
All right. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, ma'am, for speaking with us here on Brass Tacks.
Thank you.